Hey guys, what's up? Yeah, it's live. I'm going to double check, make sure of that. If YouTube doesn't, have a heart attack here. There we go. It seems that YouTube's been having problems. No offense to Google or YouTube. They're part of my income on a monthly or bi-monthly basis. But it seems they've been having problems. Let me check something. They're part of my income on a monthly or bi-monthly basis. Okay, there we go. Just making sure. But yeah, the title says it best. I want to give you thoughts or more thoughts because with the title here on YouTube or even regularly on the computer, you're limited to about 60 characters. So what are you going to do? But the description says it best. I want to give you more thoughts on the teaser trailer or the first trailer that was released today of Disney Plus's Chip.N Dale Rescue Rangers film that's coming out on May 20th. Now the description for it, and you can see it in the thumbnail, it's not a reboot, it's a comeback. Basically, it's a continuation of the series. But what's interesting about it is it's kind of unique in its style. It's like it's almost like how do I put this? It's like I said in the video that you'll probably see later on, where I talked about this trailer, and I talked about Doctor Strange, and I talked about the Sonic big GameSpot trailers that came out in these past 24 to 48 hours. And I will note that the video you will see after this, where I talk about all three trailers, was filmed before the live stream, was filmed earlier before this live stream here. But anyway though, I mentioned, and other people have pointed this out, that it feels very similar to Cool World. Now, in case you guys don't know what Cool World is, it is one of Ralph Bakshi's films from the 90s, where he basically took the concept of animation and live action and compiled it together. It compiled it together as one. Very similar to Roger Rabbit, but also, basically very similar to Roger Rabbit and a few other films that have done the same thing. But basically, Cool World was more along the lines of, that basically the premise there, one of the plots there in that film was toons could not have intimacy with noids, in other words, humans, or else they could turn human themselves, and the effects could be, questionable. Like, we don't know what will happen. Well, we do know that one of the effects in that film is is the fact that when a Noid, has sex with a toon, that the toon does turn human. But again, they don't know what the effects will be. Like if it's permanent, if it's going to have an effect on both worlds itself, we don't know. But here you're kind of getting the sense of, not only is it very similar in that style of, being like a Cool World-like situation, but it's also very similar to a Roger Rabbit deal. Because in Roger Rabbit, and speaking of which, Roger Rabbit is in the film, makes a cameo during, I guess, some of the flashbacks talking about the success the Rangers had as a team when they were on top, with the fame and everything because of who they were. Basically, you see Roger Rabbit in there, and like I've mentioned in the other video that I will be uploading later, which again I will note that takes place before this one, you also see MC Scat Cat in there with Paula Abdul. Yes, Paula is in there, believe it or not. You see the three little pigs. What's interesting about it is they talk about the fact that when they said that a movie was happening, they said it was going to be very meta. And what they mean by meta is they were going to at least acknowledge, the fact that, yes, they are, animated, the Rangers, that is. And that, the environment, and that in the world that they're in, there are, other animated characters, and that even with progress, things change in animation. And as we see, in the trailer, Dale goes through that process of, hey, I'm going to be CGI because that's the new hip trend for animation and everything. We see that. We don't know if everybody else will go CGI at the end or Dale will go back to animation. Heck, we don't even know if he's the only one. Because it seems to me, and I still stick with this, that when we see a pair of hands, CGI hands, holding a picture of the team, holding a button of the team, and it's almost like you could tell that it's Dale's hands, but it almost looks like it could be Gadget's as well. We're not really sure, because we do see a scene in there with Dale and Gadget on the Ranger plane, with Zipper launching Dale, on a rocket towards somewhere, and we see Gadget right there in the pilot seat, and it looks like she might be kind of similar to Dale, like she has a little bit CGI to her, but we're not really sure. But we also see her kind of react when Dale takes off, like, she turns her head like this, and we don't know if maybe that she's just turning it because of the blast of the rocket, or she's just turning her head because she can't bear to look as to what could happen to Dale. We don't know. But what's interesting, though, about that scene, and I know it's just one little scene, maybe we'll get more in another trailer, because the film doesn't come out until May 20th. The one thing I take away from that scene is you could have had Chip in that position. You could have had Monterey in that position. Yes, it's great you have Zipper along with them, but it almost seems to me that that's just another hint. That's just like another, I guess you could say, acknowledgement by Disney. And if this is a meta film, in a sense, part of its meta, if you will, kind of acknowledging certain things and all that, maybe part of that meta-ness is you're going to kind of have an acknowledgement of something there between Dale and Gadget. Like maybe they'll point out the so many times that Gadget hugged Dale, kissed Dale on the cheek and all that, or even on the lips. Or, they'll acknowledge the fact that Dale caught her many times, more times than, let's say, Chip or Monterey. You kind of get the idea of what I'm getting at. Maybe they'll acknowledge that. Because when you look at the beginning of the trailer, and you see that, Monterey, when he's holding them up for that one last group picture, like Chip's like being held up like he's just standing right here, but yet the two that are held up like this, Dale's like this, Gadget's, like that. It's like, okay, why would you have those two be the ones lifted up more so than Chip? Huh? What's going on? So to me, I think there's going to be some meta-ness thrown in there, acknowledging, at least potentially that, Dale and Gadget had more time together, and maybe that's going to lead to something. Maybe, Dale's going to be the reason she shows up, or he'll lead them to her or something like that, and maybe, Chip will probably put two and two together and be like, you guys have spent time together, haven't you? More time than the rest of us, and maybe that'll be acknowledged. We don't really know, but it is nice to kind of see, at least, their acknowledgement of a lot of things, like, the acknowledgement of how animation has changed. Like when CGI first came out, it was supposed to be like very real and everything, and then you get them encountering the Seth Rogen-like character, I should say, Viking-like character, whose eyes are kind of off a little bit, kind of representing that, and then you see the cats as well representing that and stuff, and it's like, okay, obviously they're very acknowledgeable of how things have changed. And what's unique about the world, like I said, is it's very similar to what you see in Cool World, and similar to what you see, in Roger Rabbit. And again, you see Roger Rabbit in the film, in a cameo. But the reason it has that similarity to both is because just like Cool World and Roger Rabbit, the world that the humans and the animated characters all occupy, basically Los Angeles, in this case the real world, it's a hybrid of not just different, let's say, ethnicness, races and all that, and genders, but it's also, a city, a world occupied by different animation styles. Like you get your classical 2D, you get your modern day, up-to-date CGI, you get your rigid CGI from the past when they were just starting out, you get your anime. Yes, we have anime in there as well. So it's nice that we're kind of getting that kind of environment that acknowledges that, yes, the Rescue Rangers are classic Disney animation, and that, they live in this world, this environment comprised of all these different animation styles of characters, as well as, of course, different ethnic backgrounds of gender, race, and all that. Again, really, really cool that they are doing that, and they're acknowledging it. They really are. And going back to the meta-ness of this film, you look at the fact that they're acknowledging, one of the scenes in the trailer is Dale's like, hey, we gotta we gotta get you in a disguise. Everybody recognizes you, Chip. Here, grab something quickly from this area. And Chip grabs basically, his classic, basically the bomber jacket. Well, not the same bomber jacket, but a very similar jacket to the classic bomber one he had in the series, along with the hat. And then, of course, you got his shirt underneath. And their reaction, both Tim and Dale's reaction, is like, what? And then they look up and they see Indiana Jones, which, as some people pointed out, they've never been able to do in the past. Because when the series originally came out, Disney didn't own the rights to Indiana Jones. They didn't own the rights to that. Lucasfilms did. Lucasfilms, of course, did. And they would, I think, have Paramount, mostly Paramount, I believe, be the ones. I think, was it Paramount or was it 20th Century Fox? One of them. They would be the ones that would distribute the films. And this was at a time when the series was completely, when the series was its own thing under Disney, but, Lucasfilms was its own entity as well before, it's being sold to Disney. That's what I was trying to say. That's what I was trying to say. But anyway, now, as some people point out reacting to it, now they can basically acknowledge, the influence that, Indiana Jones look, I should say, had on the design Chip got in Rescue Rangers. So I love that. I love that scenario there. Excuse me, I really do. I love that scenario. And again, this trailer mainly kind of shows off the bit of the meta-ness, if you will, of what they're talking about. Like, again, finally acknowledging on screen where Chip got his look from, in the series, by having him basically be surprised that he's got it again, and then looking up and seeing why he has that look now, or why he's got that all back again. So I love I love the fact that this trailer is at least, opening up the doors of saying, hey, this is why these characters, are the way they are. I love that. I really, really do. I love the fact that, that the meta-ness basically is saying, one, they know they're animated. They know they're an animated group that became famous. They know, and if they at least acknowledge that, hey, this is why Chip has his outfit. He got it from this inspiration and all that. So I love that they're doing. I love that they're doing that. I really do. Now we know that basically Corey Burton and Trish McNeil are not voicing Chip and Dale. They're voiced by two different people. Andy Samberg is one of them, and then John Moran or something his name is the other character. And so, we know Andy Samberg is Dale, and we know that John Morrison, whatever his name is Chip. So that's kind of cool. And one thing I do like about it that I think really touches upon the meta-ness of the film is you don't have the squeakiness in the voice. Because a lot of people would expect something similar to the Alvin and the Chipmunks films, where you had celebrities voicing the characters, but they would high-pitch those voices up. Like Justin Timberlake would voice, Theodore, right? But they upped Justin's voice, to where it sounded very chipmunk-like, but you knew it was Justin. It was credited as Justin. Here, they're not doing that. They're not doing that because these characters are supposed to exist in the real world with other animated characters of different animation styles, as well as, real-life human beings. So they're not doing... So I'm kind of glad they're not doing that because it shows the meta-ness that, when they obviously, get seen elsewhere, sometimes maybe somebody ups, the voices or whatever. Now, the one question that I think anybody would have is exactly, how are exactly what are the Rangers going to be represented as? We know they're looked at pretty much through this trailer as celebrities. But are they celebrities as crime fighters or as, as actors, as a crime fighting team that has a series? And according to Chip in the trailer, they're saying here's to many more seasons of Rescue Rangers. And you're like, okay, obviously they know they're actors and actresses and everything that are in, a show or in a real series. But what are we getting here? Because throughout the trailer, we also see that they're not just, a team of, not only are they actors in an animated series, but they're also like real life crime fighters. So are we kind of getting the idea that maybe the animated series is based on their adventures that they have had and all that? We don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on, but it looks like they are acknowledging that Rescue Rangers was sort of a series and everything that they starred in. You know, basically they had their own adventures, cameras following them, all that. And now they're on the verge of, you know, coming back. Like, they're not going to reboot everything, start everything over. And I love the fact that they have Chip basically saying nobody wants a reboot. That instead they're making a comeback. They're making a return and earn to form to saying, hey, we're just going to continue where we left off, if not better than ever. So I love that. I love that they're doing that and everything. But again, it does kind of open up the question of, are they, you know, acknowledging that they were just actors in a show and they're not really crime fighters, or are they acknowledging that, you know, the show that we saw was just a depiction, kind of like a reality-based depiction of their adventures, like we were following them on these adventures, you know, every day or every week. You know, I don't really know, but we'll see. We'll see if we get more information as possibly the next trailer before May 20th arrives comes out, because you know there's got to be another trailer. You know there's got to be another trailer, but again, it makes you wonder exactly, you know, what role, like what is the role of the Rangers? Like, are they actual crime fighters that starred in the show, kind of like, let's say, Cops? Because remember, when Cops was around, and it started around the same time Rangers did, you know, you had cameras following actual cops around, chasing after people. So you have to wonder if maybe that might be part of the meta-ness, like, or at least the, you know, false, or the, I wouldn't say false meta-ness, but kind of like the parody meta-ness, if you will. You have to wonder if maybe, you know, that might be the reason why they became celebrities, because of the fact that, you know, they were always being followed around by a camera on their actual adventures. We don't know yet. Because, like I said, the trailer kind of shows something else, even though it does touch upon all, like I say, the different changes in animation, the fact that they're celebrities, you know, and everybody knows them. So it's kind of a unique scenario when you really get down to it. It's really a unique scenario because, again, you know, obviously they are a team. Obviously they are famous because they starred in a show. But again, what is the meta-ness of that show? Was it the fact that they were just actors and actresses being like, okay, showtime, right? You know, showtime, right? You know, let's go do our adventure and then let's take a break. Are we going that route, like with Roger Rabbit and you know, and even Bonkers later on? Like, you know, what you're watching on screen, like with the He's Bonkers shorts that they did, that gets, you know, kind of retconned in the series later on, especially during the Lucky portion of that series, or the Lucky episodes portion of that series, where basically the animated shorts that we saw, like Pedal to the Metal, Ski Patrol, Gobble Gobble Bonkers, and all that, were all just, you know, animated shorts that were filmed at a studio. Are we going that route? Kind of like with Roger Rabbit. You know, when Roger Rabbit came out, you know, it was acknowledged, especially later on with the Roger Rabbit shorts, that but they were all filmed at, you know, at a studio and everything. They were actually filmed like a real life, you know, movie. Are we going to get that kind of meta-ness to where the adventures were just adventures that were filmed for a series, like they just followed scripts? Or are we going to go the route, like I said, with Cops, you know, to where they were followed around by a camera on these adventures that we saw basically throughout the run on the Disney Afternoon? You know, who knows? We'll have to see. But what's crazy about this is a lot of the cameos. You know, you get the Three Little Pigs, you know, in the beginning of the trailer. You get, of course, like I said, MC Scat Cat and Paula Abdul. You get Roger Rabbit, surprisingly, which really blew my mind, and I think anybody else's mind. You know, you get Scrooge McDuck in there in his money bin, but we don't know what role he might play, if any. Or that's just another cameo. Then, surprisingly, you get My Little Pony Generation 4. Yeah. How the heck did that happen? Now, as I said, here's why I think it happened. And I said this in the video that I'm going to upload later on. And again, note that video was filmed before the live stream. here's what's going on. Here's why I think basically why we see Generation 4, or at least a take on Generation 4, because you do see Fluttershy, you do see, Rainbow Dash, or at least an interpretation of them, as well as like different colored interpretations of, let's say, Applejack and maybe Twilight and all them. It's because, as I said in that previous video where I talked about this movie along with this movie's trailer along with the other two trailers, mainly it's because Hasbro has the rights to distribute a lot of Disney products. Yeah, Hasbro is one of the main distributors of a lot of Disney toys and products, like the Princess line. I think this might be part of it. I'm not really sure. Well, no, this is Funko, but the gadget figure I have. But they do have the rights to other things. They do have distributing rights to other things as well. Disney wise, like I said, the Princess line, some other figures like some of the figures for like Raya and the Last Dragon, Encanto. They have the rights to those. Some of the figures and stuff there. So I'm not surprised that we see ponies in here, even a different take on the ponies, if you will, similar designs but different take, because of the fact that, like I said, Disney has this deal with Hasbro where Hasbro distributes all these figures. So by having that deal with them, Hasbro's like, I'm sure when Disney asked them, hey, can we put the ponies in here just for a cameo? Hasbro's like, hey, no problem. It gives our, it's a win-win basically, because it acknowledges, in my opinion, the fact that Disney, is working with Hasbro to distribute figures and all that, but also Hasbro works with Disney on certain things as well. So it's a win-win. It's a win-win. It's basically, to me, an acknowledgement that they know, that basically Disney is saying, hey, we know you guys are, the reason, that we're doing this, and not doing this, but Disney is acknowledging what I'm trying to say, and this is what happens when you do things live and unscripted. You try to think about things off the top of your head. But Disney, to me, by having this partnership with Hasbro, just for like this cameo by the ponies, to me, is their acknowledgement of saying, hey, we recognize Hasbro as our toy and one of our main toy and merchandise distributors, and we recognize one of the more successful franchises that they've had that we would have loved to have as part of us, or at least broadcast it in a way. But here's the thing, though, about the ponies showing up. You have to get Hasbro's okay. You have to get their okay. And again, if you're partners with them and all that, you're giving them recognition, they're fine with it. A good example of this is, I think, Ghost is the recent Ghostbusters Afterlife. Ghostbusters Afterlife had a scene where somebody gave one of the main young kids in the film gave a charger, a USB charger in the shape of, I think, Rainbow Dash to one of the other characters. So you had a Rainbow Dash cameo through a charger, in a non-Hasbro film, given to another character. But here's the thing. I think Hasbro distributes the Ghostbusters line, don't they? So if Hasbro distributes the Ghostbusters toy line, it makes sense. As long as they have some kind of partnership of distributing, toys and merchandise with said company, then they'll find with characters showing up in the films, or at least being acknowledged, or in some kind of way. Like that one film with John Cena where he's, a firefighter and he's watching these kids and all that. One of the main things that everybody took away from that, including Andre Meadows of Black Nerd Comedy, is the fact that it felt like a pony movie. Because there was a scene, and obviously this played a big role, where you had a picture of Celestia, you had John Cena wearing a t-shirt of Celestia, you had, pictures and images on the wall of Rarity, Twilight, Pinky, Rainbow, and that film was not Hasbro related. There was no figures that came out of it for Hasbro to distribute, but Hasbro still got recognition. The point is, Hasbro, Mattel, whoever, they have to okay, they have to okay the idea to let their figures, let their shows, if you will, be acknowledged. No, I was just checking something there, but they have to, they have to okay it. As long as they get a piece of maybe the revenue or they get some kind of promotion, they have to okay it. With Disney, like I said, they have a partnership where Disney distributes their figures. Some of the figures, merchandise, and all that, they distribute it. So by having that partnership, or at least being one of the main partners of toy, figurine, merchandise distributing, Hasbro obviously is going to be cool if Disney says, hey, we want to put a cameo of your previous generation of ponies in here, to coincide with the Rescue Rangers, because of where they live, like the world they live in and all that. You have to wonder too if maybe they're going to get some of the voice actors out of Generation 4 to voice some of the characters here. Like, you got to wonder if they're going to have Ashley Ball and Andrea Lindgren voicing, the representations of Rainbow and Flutter. You got to wonder, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Now, Equestria Daily, of course, did touch upon this, and they basically said that it is Generation 4 style, and that the only ones they could really recognize were Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash, and that there is an Applejack there, but it's like I said, some of them are not colored differently. It's like these are different characters, besides, let's say, the rest of the main group, if you will. But they did say it's the main 6, but colored differently, I guess. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see that scene and how that happens. And again, whether or not they got Andrea and Ashley to come back and voice the characters, or somewhat of the representation of the characters in the film. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, does this mean Disney Plus is going to get Friendship is Magic on the service? I don't know. It could. Because we're always wondering. Okay, Netflix has seasons 1 to 4 right now. Where's 5 and 8 going to go? Because we know Hulu has season 9. Well, the most logical sense is 5 and 9, or 5 and 8 would join season 9 on Hulu, or 5 and 8 would go back to Netflix. Now, does that mean potentially that Disney Plus maybe have put in a bid and said, hey, we want seasons 5 to 8 as well as the other seasons, basically the complete series? Does it mean Disney Plus didn't do that? Of course it doesn't. Disney could have done that. And maybe part of the deal to maybe make that happen, get that ball rolling, is to have them show up in Rescue Rangers, if you will, as a cameo. But we don't know. We don't really know. But if you're a Rescue Ranger fan and an MLP Friendship is Magic fan, I'll tell you, this is like something you never thought would happen. But besides that, it looks good. The film looks good. I'll tell you this, it definitely blew anybody's negative expectations out of the water and made them more positive. Now, are there going to be some detractors? Absolutely. There's going to be detractors no matter what. No matter what the scenario, there are going to be detractors. And by the way, a reminder, Super Chats and Super Stickers are open and would be appreciated. Whatever you can do would be really appreciated in the end. $1 to $5, $10, whatever you want to do, it's up to you. It'd be really helpful right now, if you know what I mean. But anyway, again, whatever reactions, negative-wise that a lot of people had, that got turned around. But like I said, are there detractors? Absolutely. Absolutely there are detractors. There are some people already commenting and saying they don't like this idea. They don't like this directive. But I think it looks good. I think it looks all right. We'll have to see what happens in the end. Again, we don't know exactly, how the Rangers being presented. Are they being presented as just stars in the show to where they just became famous because of their adventures? Are they going to follow a scenario like the original Cops show where the real life adventures, crime fighting's being filmed and that's why they become a success, why they become celebrities? I don't know. I don't really know. It's going to be interesting to see exactly what else will be described as, as to, what their role is. I mean, let me ask you guys this. What do you think, how do you think they're going to be presented? Do you think they're going to be presented as just actors in a show that became popular and made them huge celebrities? Or are they going to be presented as real-life crime fighters, that had a lot of their adventures filmed, and that's how they became celebrities? What's your take on it? Let me know in the comments and in the live chat during the stream, and in the comments below afterwards. But again, overall, this movie looks good. I'm going to say that. It looks really good. I definitely know that with Disney Plus, there is a good chance that for me anyway, I can record this onto DVD. Why do I say that? Mainly because of the fact that it's a third-party app, and it has been proven in the past that usually opens up the door for any kind of potential recording to take place. So we'll see what happens. It's ironic too that it got released today, and as I said in the video, which I will note was filmed before the live stream, it's kind of ironic that today, if you will, Disney released on a full worldwide, nationwide retail release in stores like Target, Walmart, Amazon, you name it, that they released, the complete series on Blu-ray. Previously, for the past month or so, or at least less than half a month, it was a Disney Movie Club exclusive. Now it's being released fully on, in retail stores on Blu-ray and digital. So, it's kind of ironic that it gets released, retail-wise today, and Disney drops the teaser trailer, as well. So again, it's kind of ironic, but hey, if this doesn't prove that the only reason Rescue Rangers became the first of probably many Disney Afternoon-related shows to get a Blu-ray complete series treatment, I don't know what does. But I'll tell you this right now, it's going to be this movie's going to be a really interesting journey, from beginning to end, to see exactly what's going to bring them back together, exactly what separated them, whether or not, they were actors in the show, or if they were real-life crime fighters that had the adventures filmed and everything, just like, let's say, reality shows do today, like in the past, like with Cops and all that. It's going to be really interesting to see exactly what we get out of this when it's all said and done. And again, one of the questions I think I'm hoping gets answered, and it looks like it's going to be. I'm not saying it won't. But one of the things that I'm hoping gets answered is, the whole gadget situation. Because like I said, in the trailer, we see that Dale is being, shot off on a rocket, thanks to Zipper, and he's coming off of the range, and he's basically climbing onto this rocket from the Ranger plane, and it's only him and Gadget. And Gadget's reaction is kind of like, she's turning her head, either because of the blast from the rocket, or it's like this. The reaction she has is like, she doesn't want to see what's going to happen to Dale. So you have to wonder, did she choose Dale? Are we going to get some kind of indication that her and Dale spent a lot of time with each other? Maybe she's the one that suggested he go through the CGI surgery or change? Because I'm thinking, did she do the same thing? I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure, because the animation, well, not the animation, but the scene at night kind of darkens out a little bit. But you have to wonder. You have to really wonder. But I'm hoping we get an answer to that real soon. Overall, again, the film looks great. Obviously, it looks like Fat Cat's going to be our main antagonist here. And something's going to happen with him where he merges with stuff. Or merges with other pieces here and there. So it's going to be fun to see how he plays a role, because it looks like that may be who the antagonist is. But the story overall, besides being a very meta one, and taking acknowledgement and even shots at certain things that people associate with the show, or kind of look at as being inspired for the show from other franchises, besides that, I think the story overall is going to be good. I know some people don't like it when some of the favorite properties have to, or not have to, but get put through these kind of reincarnations, these comebacks, reboots, or whatever you want to call them, where they have a bit of meta-ness thrown at them. I mean, Full House on Netflix, when it happened, kind of as a sequel, a continuation of the original, it had some meta-ness in it. There were several scenes in there that, had some meta-ness in it, like I think in the first couple of episodes, you had them acknowledge that Mary-Kate and Ashley, who played Michelle, wasn't there, and then they kind of like turned towards the camera, as if, taking a meta shot at her, like saying like, yeah, you could have been here, but you decided you were better than us, kind of deal. And then of course you have the whole, like Jesse, John Stamos' character acknowledging like the music, the violin music and all that, or even the laughter and all that. So it's not anything new, and I know it's not a favorite thing by a lot of folks for some of the favorite shows to make a return, a soft reboot, comeback, whatever, and have some meta-ness thrown in there. But I think the reason these things get the meta treatment at times to flow throughout the story, or to help the story flow throughout, I think the reason they get that meta treatment is because they realize that a lot of people are smart to the idea now that, hey, Chip and Dale's, the look for the show was inspired by Indiana Jones and Magnum P.I., and, Gadget was inspired by Gidget, and, this and that. So, they realize, hey, fans are very knowledgeable now, so let's kind of basically, kind of acknowledge that. Let's acknowledge the fact that they're very knowledgeable by being very meta, through the characters about certain situations, certain looks and all that. So, yeah, I know it's not a very popular trope or trend to go with, but hey, if it works, it works. But if it works out perfectly to where, or at least semi-decently to where it balances out the story, whether the story is good or not, I think it's fine. I think it's good. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. I think it's a good decision to go with, and I can't really say more than that. I really can't. But again, I know not a lot of people are fans of it, but I'm cool with it. As long as it doesn't really disrupt the story too much, I'm cool with it. I'm really cool with it. And again, I like the way they're presenting it. They're not parodying it or anything. They are still keeping you guessing exactly, like I said, how the Rangers are, how are the Rangers going to be represented? Were they actors in the show? Were there, adventures as crime fighters around the world filmed and then shown to everybody? Who knows? It's going to be interesting and intriguing, and I know a lot of people like myself are going to be speculating from now till May 20th of exactly what else is going to show up in there, who else could show up, what other meta-ness we could get, and of course, like I said, a lot of us will be speculating, are we going to get an answer to who did Gadget choose? Did she choose Chip? Did she choose Dale? Or is she choosing no one? That's what I think a lot of people would like to know, because again, one of the subplots of the series originally, sub-arcs, if you will, is Chip and Dale always trying to fight for Gadget's affections. So you have to wonder if maybe, we're going to get an answer here, because there is a scene where you see them dressed up a little bit, and you have to wonder if maybe they're going to meet Gadget to try to convince her to come back on board as part of the team, and maybe finally get their answer of, okay, who did you choose, or maybe even ask, who would you have chosen, and hopefully we'll get some kind of hint or acknowledgement there. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's going to be really, like I said, I know it sounds like I'm repeating myself here, but it bears repeating. It's going to be an interesting ride. It really is. It's going to be an interesting ride from here to May 20th. And again, I know a lot of speculating is going to continue to that day. And I definitely look forward to a lot more reactions. I can't wait to see what Andre Meadows hold on. Okay. What I'm trying to say is I cannot wait to see what Andre Meadows' reaction is going to be, Black Nerd Comedy, because he's going to be watching this as well. But what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on the trailer that dropped today? What else do you think we might see in the movie? Who do you think we'll finally get an answer to, maybe potentially who Gadget chose or who she would have chosen? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for those that did probably comment in the live chat during the premiere, or during this live stream, I should say. Really appreciate it. Again, I do have a video coming out where I talk about all three trailers. The Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Big GameSpot trailer, the Doctor Strange one that just came out, as well as this one. And I will note that these are filmed, or that was filmed before the live stream. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. What do you think we're going to get out of this? What are your thoughts on Hasbro okaying and being cool with their Friendship is Magic property, Generation 4 that is, being showcased in some manner in the film. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts of the different animation styles being utilized for characters to live alongside the different ethnic and, gender groups, races, if you will, of the real life humans? What are your thoughts overall? Comment below. Thank you to those that joined me in the live stream. And if you did any super chats or super stickers, I appreciate it. Will really help me out in the long run. But what are your thoughts overall? Comment below. Live chat. Oh, not live chat, but comment below. Check me out at BW Rosa's Discussions, all your favorite audio podcast locations except for Pandora. Also check me out at VENMO at BW Rosa's. I do have a new video going up real soon. It is the Bonkers fan vid that I did called We Are a Miracle. I'm putting it on VENMO because of the fact that I cannot put it on YouTube due to copyright reasons. I tried to put it on YouTube, but it was said blocked all over, so it's going to go on VENMO. I will link it in a video or in a post so you guys can check it out there. Also, check me out at BW Roses on Patreon to support me with the $1, $3 tier. Also, check me out and the $1 tier is a shout out and acknowledgement, and $3 tier is a shout out, acknowledgement, and access to videos that you can't see anywhere else till later, whenever I decide to post them fully here on YouTube or VENMO. And also check me out at VENMO at Brian-Walmer-2. Help me there financially. And also check me out at my new Cash App account at BW Roses 98. That's right. I have a Venmo, Brian-Walmer-2. You can help support me there financially, as well as you can help support me financially at Cash App at BW Roses 98. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys, on what we got with this trailer. What else do you think we might see in the future? Do you think we'll get that answer with Gadget and who she would have chosen or did choose? What are your thoughts overall? And I am out. Thank you all for watching and being here live.